Welcome to Legacy Sips and Tips podcast with your host, Lindsay Wheeler. So on today's episode, I have Jorge Serrano here. He is an insurance expert, talks about personal casualty and business insurance, which is very important if you have a business to have the insurance. So thank you, Jorge, for being here, talking us about a really riveting, dry subject, kind of like estate planning, insurance. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, it's super dry, but it's a necessity. I opened up to the public in 2015 after a few years at a captive agency. It was given an opportunity to move up within the captive agency, but I didn't feel like it was a fit for my clientele or even for myself, really. So opened up an independent office, High Sierra Insurance in Sparks, Nevada, and have been pretty successful since then. Just insuring primarily families and small business owners.
That's awesome. So when you say your client base, so you were working for like a big conglomerate, normal big firms that we think about, and so you said, oh, they're not a really good fit for my clientele. So what was that? What's your clientele, and how did that transition you?
So when you're with a captive, you're really just selling the logo, and you're preaching, how long they've been around and this, that, and the other. But the truth of it is being independent, I have access to a dozen carriers at any given point, and sometimes even more depending on what we're looking for. And some of these companies, they've been around for over 100 years. So there's legacy carriers that we can count on. And then there's also insurtech companies that are available to us too. So companies that have been around for maybe 5 years or so, where again, I didn't have access to as a captive. So that's just opening up the options for my clientele and really just being able to give them like a good, better, best option.
Oh, that's cool. That's always nice to have that availability instead of just being like, this is what you have to pay and that's it. Having that optionality is really nice to have. So what kind of clientele do you primarily deal with? You said small businesses, small families, who are getting, their life together, because obviously insurance is a mandatory requirement, but for a reason. But how do you work with, business insurance? And a lot of people think, oh, I can just go get a business. I'm a sole prop, I'm a LLC, if you will, but kind of miss the step of business insurance and how important business insurance is when you have a small business.
So essentially, my clientele is going to be individuals who understand that insurance is a tool, who understand that bad things happen to good people, and individuals who are striving for that American dream, that white picket fence, who are wanting to be small business owners and have things that they would not want to have to work to get again should something catastrophic happen. And so in easy terms, that's people who have things that they value and would like to protect.
That's cool. Yeah, that's always nice to frame it that way. Because like you said, it's a perfect way of saying it, is that bad things happen to good people. We don't want the wheels to fall off, but oftentimes it happens, and it's nice to have a cushion or a barrier for that happening. Or, say you are a small business owner, maybe you're a coach, maybe you're online space, you're doing these things and somebody's not happy with you and they sue you because, let's be real, it's America and people are going to sue you. And with having that insurance to be there, they can cover you, they can, help you, they can help make sure that that's not so traumatic and you might not lose your whole life because you have that insurance to help protect you.
It's a safety net.
Yeah.
You work really hard to get to a certain point and provide a certain lifestyle to your family. And if something happens to this particular item, whether it be your inventory at your small business, whether it be your first home, your fifth investment home, or your first car, it's a safety net. You're not going to have to work hard again. You're going to get, maybe there's $1,000 deductible, maybe there's a $5,000 deductible. You pay that, and the insurance company in a perfect world is going to make you whole.
Yeah, that's good. That's nice to have. It is a good safety net. So how I met Jorge for the first time was through a organization called BNI. It's Business Networking Institute. It's a little cult-like, but it's cool. Look it up. It's fun. If you're in your neighborhood or your industry, you can go there and find like-minded entrepreneurs, and you guys help each other out, which is really great. So it was a very good experience for me to meet like-minded people like Jorge. And I really appreciated that organization for that. So tell me a little bit how you got into this whole business. What was your entrepreneurial journey like? How is it like being a business owner yourself and insuring businesses? And what does that look like to you and your family?
Yeah, so it was not easy by any means. I didn't use any credit cards to float my business. What I did do is I worked at UPS. I think they call it like the midnight shift or some crazy. And essentially, I started during peak season, which is like mid-November is when it starts. But essentially, it's like a 1:30 a.m. start time, and then you work for 8 hours or more. So then what happens is at 8 a.m. I'd go home, shower, eat real quick, and then run a 9 to 5 small business.
Oh my God.
And that's how I was able to cash flow the office. And eventually, after about 18 months or so, I was able to leave that UPS packaging position and just focus on providing for my clients, which in turn, of course, turns into revenue and was able to provide me with the income that I needed to sustain a good lifestyle.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing that a lot of people think, like, this day and age, we have this culture, their hustle culture and all these things about like, you're just going to YOLO it up and just get a brand new job and you're going to do your own business. And you did it the right way. How I think is the right way is that you are going to still work your 9 to 5. You still have a family, you have a life, you have things to pay for, to make sure that those things are secure. We're not just going to like throw it to the wind and hope it works out. You're still doing it in a responsible manner, but keep in mind hustling your ass off, frankly, and having all that work. So you're working a midnight shift, a graveyard shift, and then come and working your job. So you're working 16 hours a day. And of course, once that income and that revenue comes and it starts to either be commensurate to what your 9 to 5 job is, if you will, or more, and then you can usually let go of that anchored job, if you will, of keeping you secure. So I think that's a really good, safe way of doing entrepreneurship. It's not just like, I guess if you're living in your mom's basement and you don't really have any bills, then cool. But if, you have bills and you have family and you have things that you are responsible for, there are more responsible ways to go on the entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, you definitely earn it. And when you put that much skin in the game, you don't want to fail, right? So every interaction, you cherish it, you value it, you take care of it. And at the end of the day, that's what clients want anyways. And it shows, so they appreciate you. And then you end up getting your referrals and you end up getting repeat business, and at least in the insurance world you get renewals, know. And so when you can start getting that snowball to grow, it starts to pay off.
Yeah. Well, it was difficult though. You had a small child at the time, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, no, of course. And life doesn't stop. Of course there's spring break and winter break, and you want to do things with your family. But you just got to find time, because everyone gets the same 24 hours. And it just depends on how you spend it will determine your success.
Yeah. Let's talk about your partner. We talk about this in Entrepreneur, like, the quote is that you either have a supportive partner or you have no partner, because there's no in between. So tell about that little bit of your family dynamic on that, of building this business and working that. Obviously your wife, or girlfriend at the time is not seeing you and is like, what the hell, man,
Yeah, no, it's always the little things, she may have not been able to work in the office due to licensing or knowledge or experience or whatever else, but just making sure that, come home to like a cooked meal, a clean home, just being supportive and doing the things that are free, sharing a Facebook post, mentioning what we do, to friends, family, neighbors, that kind of thing. That goes such a long way, because it takes it takes at least the little things off your plate while you focus on like the stuff that really does require that expertise.
Yeah. And she's making it easy for you. Like, you're not stressing about the other ancillary things that are going on. You can focus on working the second job and then getting the business going, while you have your supportive partner being like, you can do this, I'm your cheerleader and we're going to make it happen. And I'm helping you. I'm going to take care of these other things for you. Yep. To make it as easy, because you're carrying your load, and then your partner is going to help balance that for you.
Yeah. And frankly, like, I feel like I'm the man of the house, not necessarily like a machista way, but like, I feel like I am responsible for their well-being. And so I put on my plate as much as I possibly can. And then, my girls, they can do what they need to do to just maintain a good lifestyle and stay healthy. And then they take care of me. So
yeah, that's nice.
Out.
Yeah, that's good. That's ideal. So a good question is, I like to focus on, marginalized communities, minority communities, because I don't feel like they're represented enough, that we don't have enough people talking to these people or talking with these people. So how do you feel that your business helps serve the Hispanic community? A lot of Hispanic have, businesses and jobs and rentals and lives and all these crazy things that are happening, but I don't feel like we really focus on that group so much, or any minority group. Frankly, that's why they're a minority group. We just have like, the typical, white male guy in his suit, and that's who we're going to take care of. And there's this whole other world out there of people who are working hard and doing well for themselves. And we don't really think about that. That's not the picture in most people's minds of success.
Yeah. So I think just being bilingual and speaking fluent Spanish has been a huge helping hand, because with Hispanics and Latinos, just that clientele is a little different. It's a little more difficult. They don't always believe in the tools that the U.S. has in place for success. Some of them might still believe in putting money in a sock drawer or in between their mattress and their box spring. And so they save it, for an emergency or rainy day. And the truth is that, it's an inefficient way of planning for a rainy day. So Spanish has helped me a ton because I put it in their language, liability, just anything that is insurance related. I've made sure to polish up my verbiage in Spanish so that when I present something, I can make examples of things that they need to watch out for. Most of the time, like, they understand it and they don't want to have to pay for an emergency out of pocket. And so that's been just a huge leverage point for me. But they are certainly underserved because they don't understand it. So they think, when someone walks in and tries to sell them on a product, that they're just trying to take money from them, and, it's a scam. You're not going to get any benefit out of it. So we've been able to be pretty successful with the Hispanic community. I think we've gained a lot of our trust here in our community. And again, it just comes with other obstacles. Sometimes they want to file a claim for something that has nothing to do with what we do. But we appreciate it. We appreciate the Hispanic community, and we wouldn't be where we are or who we are without them, really. So
yeah, I think it's important that it's the education piece, like you said, of letting them know that this is an important thing to have, especially if you do have a small business, and making sure that they are protected. And now that they have a business, anybody who has a business, the likelihood of being sued is pretty high, because it's just how our society works. We're very litigious, and lawyers want to get their money, and they'll say, oh, you could make $1 billion of suing this company or something, and making sure that they're insured and protected, and having that kind of safety net that if that does happen, then they're not having to worry about it either. Say it maybe people who are from other areas who have, English is not their first language, having to then deal with the legal system on top of that is overwhelming. It's difficult. And so having that business insurance come step in for you, hiring an attorney to take care of that for you, all of that is kind of a nice insulation and provision for them to freely be able to run their businesses without having to worry about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we have business owners that do everything correctly. They mitigate for those slip and fall potential claims. They have alarm systems. We have customers that put cages up on their windows because they can't afford to break in. Yeah. Right? They have so much inventory. At the end of the day, we still file claims. Right. Things still happen. So there's really no way to plan for the unplanned. And we always make sure to step up and just assist them through the claims process, and explain to them. Sometimes it's just explaining time frames. Other times it's explaining their limits or things like that. And generally speaking, our reviews speak for themselves. We're over 50 or 60 reviews on Google, and we're at a 4.9.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so we're doing what we can.
And I always think about that too, because we always think, oh, these are more costs, there's outlays, and oh my God, what more can I nickel and dime over? But I always think with, especially in insurance, that even as say it's $2,000 a year or $3,000, even $5,000, if you think about that, okay, so you're in business for 10 years or even 20 years, that's $50,000 or $100,000 that you're paying out on insurance that you may never have to use. However, if you were to get sued, an average judgment's going to be probably at least $100,000, $200,000. So you are covering yourself for at least 10 to 15 years at that point, of just one instance. And so it is so worth it. It's that, what is that, pound of prevention or an ounce of prevention for a pound of whatever it is,
Yeah. Yeah, the truth of it is, it's a tool that we use in the United States. So, to all my Latin American friends out there, we're in the U.S. and we've really just got to acclimate to what we do here and how we do things here. There's a budget for everything, right? When you run a business, there's a budget for marketing, there's a budget for licensing, employment, insurance. It's in there. Buying the cheapest insurance policy is for a reason, right? Like when you go for the cheapest policy available, it's for a reason, right? So we don't really sell on price. We sell on coverage, and we kind of go through the policy before signing anyone up, making sure that they understand what they're getting into.
Yeah, and I think it's important too, just on basic, car insurance. Yeah, I can get the cheapest policy out there, but if somebody hits me, it's maybe not even my fault. Like we were just, we had winter right now, and somebody slides into me, and I don't have any coverage, or somebody, God forbid, got really injured, has to go to the hospital, and I have a $10,000, limit on that. Like, where do you think that money's coming from?
Well, we just had an example. So we get an insured referred to us, and so our biggest competitor is the direct call center to our carriers. All right, it's not the guy down the street. It's not any mascot or gecko or whoever. It's literally the 1-800 number. People will dial the 1-800 number thinking they're going to get a policy that fits what they're looking for, and a lot of times they're just getting pushed off to a call center where that person receiving the call just needs to get to the next phone call because of course they have metrics they need to fill. And so what happened is we had a home insurance policy, a policy that I would write for myself or my family member, that was going to protect them in a total loss situation or even a partial loss. The 1-800 number, same carrier, $400 a year cheaper. So it makes us look, greedy.
Yeah,
almost.
What are you doing? Yeah,
it makes us look, like we're trying to get rich off of this one policy. And so this person sends me the policy, and it's on a cash value basis. So what happens is in a total loss situation, say for example a fire, everything is going to be depreciated. Okay. Where with my policy we would have just said, hey, show us what you paid to replace this chair, this sweater, this television set, this laptop, and that's what we were going to pay out.
Right, what you paid for it now, not what you paid for it 10 years ago.
Correct. Yeah, and not Craigslist prices. It's like, hey, it's a 10-year-old laptop. Like they're going for $100. Yeah. Right. No, we were getting ready to pay whatever it took.
If it's $3,500 for a new one. That's what I paid to get a new one replaced.
That's what we would have paid. And so, of course, it's hard. We lost that one, and it's hard to explain to the client that it's a big deal. Like I'm going to ask you to spend an extra $35 a month or whatever it is, because you're going to lose tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars at the time of a claim, and you're going to be upset. And then that's where, oh, insurance is such a scam, and insurance is this, that, and the other, and they take your money and never pay out. And it's like, you went to a call center and you were underserved.
Yeah, and you didn't read the fine print, or you didn't read what your coverage is going to be, and you just thought, oh, I'm saving $400, but not understanding what you're losing with that $400.
Right, and that's where you're not going to win a fight against an insurance company. When you sign up for a policy, they send you an e-signature form, you sign it, it becomes active, it's on you now.
Yeah, right? You should have read it. Please, everyone, read your contracts. I don't care how embarrassing you feel you are at a car dealership or wherever you are. Spend an hour to read those forms and make them sit there with you.
Nope, I just signed a contract to sit here with you, and it wasn't because I didn't trust the contract. I just thought it was very interesting and something that maybe I could implement, in my practice. And so, but what that fine print reads is what's going to happen should litigation come up. Yeah. Right. What does the contract say?
And not even necessarily in litigation sometimes, it's just that people change their mind. People are finicky. And so, I could say, yeah, I really want that Lamborghini and I'm super excited to get it. But then, oh shit, 30 days later, I'm like, oh, maybe this isn't the best snow car. It's like, people change and their minds change. And so that happens with everything. And so it's important to do your due diligence, read these things, make sure everything is going to cover you right. Because you might be saving $400, but at the end of the day, it cost you $400,000,
Yeah, no, it's something, it's a unilateral contract with insurance. The insurance company sets the terms. If you like them, you sign, you pay, it's official. you don't get to negotiate pricing, right? Like you get to pick and choose your coverages. They set the cost, but it's really on their terms. So as soon as you sign that policy, and there's a claim, there's no unwinding that. It's official. It's real.
Yeah, it's interesting, and that's with most contracts. Not that most contracts are unilateral; they most aren't, because it's we're all coming to an agreement.
Right.
But once you do sign it, you've agreed to that, and when you do sign it, if it goes in front of a judge, the judge's going to say you signed this. You had the ability and the onus to read that. You should have understand. If you sign something, that means you have read and you have understood. And if you don't, then you should ask questions before you sign anything.
Yeah, and that's something that we do at our office. We go through the quote process where we present it, we explain, we ask questions, we make changes as needed, and then at signature, we either do it over the phone, in person. I just had an older couple in the office on Friday where they just went line by line, and we were there for 2 hours.
Yep.
And it was fine by me because it was exactly what we had talked about over the phone, and sure enough, it was perfect. So they signed it. There was no questions, there was no changes made. But you can't back out of it once you sign it.
Yeah.
You can always make changes up until the point there's a claim. At that point, it's going to pay out the way the contract was signed.
Yeah. It's interesting how that works. Yeah.
Yeah, it's adult world.
It is an adult world, and it's rough in these streets.
Yes, it is.
So in your entrepreneurial journey, it's a journey for all of us. What are kind of like the high points of that you're like, yeah, I'm so glad I did this. I didn't stay with the carriers. I didn't stay at UPS. And then, what are the low parts too? Because we all want to know the real life of everything. And how does that work for you in your life, your business building? And
yeah, so definitely a lot of highs, a lot of lows. Honestly, I have so many highs throughout my day that it makes it completely worth it for me. And I think a lot of times I think with entrepreneur, like we think like freedom of your time and like money, and to me it's like the small wins. Our office is, I would say, about 85% referral based, and to me, that's the highest of the highest, right? When you do what you're supposed to do, you do it correctly, and they refer someone to you, whether it's their very own child, right? Who loves anyone more than their own child,
yeah.
Right? Hey, you get a referral. My daughter just graduated college, and she just bought her first home. And so that to me is a huge win. You just can't beat that feeling of knowing like, man, they're going to start having kids soon. They're going to be looking at their first home. They're probably going to be wanting some kind of insurance for their own kids. Eventually they're going to start a business. So I've seen that happen. And
well, I think like you said, like the biggest compliment is that trust. They trust you, they know you, they like you, that you're going to take care of their family. Like you said, the person they love the most, their children, they trust you to take care of that person. That is a huge compliment. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's it for me. Like, if I can get referral business, that beats anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. What kind of the lows?
The lows, I would probably point to that example I gave you earlier, where like my own insurance company's 800 number undersold someone, insured someone, and I wasn't able to show them the differences. And I essentially look at myself as a failure because I couldn't, show them that they weren't getting the same product.
Yeah.
They weren't getting the same insurance policy that I presented, and so that hurts, because they are in our neighborhood, right?
And you have their best interest, like you said, a call center doesn't know this person. You know this person, potentially their family or their friends, and you have that referral trust basis, and it is kind of hurtful when they're like, well, no, this isn't right. I'm going to go with this corporate 800 number, even though it's not in their best interest, but they feel like it is because they're saving a couple bucks,
Right. Yeah. I mean, in this example, it was almost to the dollar, like $1 a day. Right. And so it's like, again, these are people that I work with in our community where if they're in a bad situation, it's one of those things where like the community finds out because of how poorly their claim was handled.
Yeah.
Right. So now we're having to come together and help them, which, I'm happy for our small-ish community because it's been growing a ton lately. I'm glad, to see us come together and all, but realistically, like there's tools for that, and that insurance is one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I like that. So if you were sitting here and you were your younger self and you were talking to your younger self, what would be like the kind of advice you would give? What would you want to hear?
Just be persistent, and don't take anything personal. I would say just keep working hard.
Yeah.
You can't deny hard work. Like you can have all the brains in the world and everything else, but hard work is really what makes you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And I think coming kind of from our background and stuff, we weren't, spoiled rich kids at all. We watched our parents work and work very hard, and, we weren't given a lot of niceties in that way. We had to work for everything, and we appreciate everything because of that. And it is an interesting thing that you can't out hustle somebody, because they're just gonna, with anything, with business, with life, with sports, whatever you're gonna do, like you can't out hustle the hustler.
Right. Yeah. You always want to be the best at what you do.
Yeah.
You may not be the best in the world, but if you can be the best in your zip code,
yeah, then high five. Yeah.
That's gonna stand out, and then eventually you become the best in your city, and then your state, and then your region, and you can't let up.
Yeah. You just got to keep going. That's awesome. So today we are drinking, oops, here's the glass. We're drinking some Scottish Scotch. This is a Glenmorangie Tale of Forest. This is an interesting one. It's not like a typical one. I don't particularly like Scotch. I'll sip on it, but it's not my jam. Obviously, we know that wine's my jam. But this one was super cool. He won it in a white elephant gift during the holidays, and I was going to fight him for this bottle only because it's super unique. This one is crafted from barley killed with woodland botanicals, basically in gin casks, which is super interesting, which I thought, oh, what kind of flavor profile is that going to impart into this very nice, Scottish whiskey. This brand also did kind of like their distiller, line, if you will. And this one is their Tokyo version. And so this is distilled and aged in sake casks and sherry casks with some bourbon, which is really interesting. So it imparts a whole different type of flavor profile on that. And it's super interesting. So it's a little bit different off from our wine, but also cool, fun distillery stuff. And if you can always have a distillery tour, even if you don't like alcohol or like that kind of stuff, they're always really fascinating on how they are made and kind of the craftsmanship and the pride that goes into making these spirits for people. So very cool. So I guess kind of a end up question of what are you doing with your life? What does this look like for you and your business? Are you going to try to expand? Are you trying to scale? Are you trying to hustle? Are you doing all that kind of stuff? Or are you just kind of cool with where you are? Are you going to take over the big corporate companies? What's that look like for you?
So I think everyone's end goal is retirement. Mm-hmm. I would love to retire early, but at the same time, my mind's always racing. I'm always wanting to, find the new challenge and what's next for me. So I don't know that early retirement is really for me, but I would love to kind of just part-time retire. Again, I'm just dreaming here. Realistically, it's probably not too unrealistic, just because all it takes is duplicating yourself, right? Put someone that does what you do in your desk, and then you can probably just step away for a minute. But you want to do it right. You want to, hire slow, make sure you get the right person, and then slowly just kind of back away from the business and just see how it all pans out. I'm not in a huge rush. Again, I absolutely love what I do. I love just those daily challenges. So I would say replacing myself is probably my goal. And, if I can do it this year, definitely within the next 5, then I'll be happy. And if I don't ever do it, that's fine too. I do need some help at the office. So essentially, just getting another person in there, whether they replace me or not, I think is going to be pretty high priority for me.
Well, and we talk about having that support staff for you, because yes, when we start our businesses, we do all the things, we wear all the hats, we're trying to do all the things, and that's not sustainable at a point. You get to a point that's absolutely not sustainable. And so we need to hire out, we need to delegate. And as business owners, sometimes we are control freaks. We want to make sure that we handle it. We want it to be done perfect. But at the end of the day, we do need to implement systems, hiring people out, making those things happen, because then we can then step into that SE, the CEO role, and making sure that everything is taken care of, and dealing with your business on the big level, on an over level, as opposed to just, oh, I went to the post office today.
Right.
That you can give somebody a job to do. We can hire that out, but big thinking, big overall growth thinking, strategic thinking, that's your zone of genius and where you need to shine and have the time and the ability to do so. Well, thank you so much, Jorge, for being here. We really appreciate your time. And so where can people find you?
Pretty simple Google search, High Sierra Insurance. We're based out of Sparks, Nevada. We are licensed in California as well, although as of today, January 2024, California's insurance world is completely on its head. So, my suggestion, if you have insurance in California, keep it or be very diligent in your search. But Sparks, Nevada is where we're based out of. And also we have a Facebook page where you can chat with us if you need something, have some questions, be happy to answer them for you.
Perfect. Yeah, that'd be great. So if you guys have questions on insurance or how it works or what it looks like or what you might need, Jorge's available to chat with you. And that's a High Sierra Insurance. And of course, thank you for being here. And when you think of death, think of me. Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you found value, please like, subscribe, and share. And be sure to follow me on all the socials at Sips and Tips with Lindsay. And of course, you can always go to my website, sipsandtipswithlindsay.com, to find more information about estate planning, business, snowboard, travel, and of course, wine.